Okay, today we're going to talk about hormones. This is the second day with Barbara, session 1. She said hormones were not an issue 50 years ago. In 1957, the pill was introduced and lots of plastics were being used as well at that time. And prior to that, most of the clothes we wore were cotton. She said underwear was all cotton and natural fibers. And with the change to, she calls it plastic clothing, plastic fabric. I never really thought about it that way, but it absolutely is. She said all of these little things add up to disrupting our hormones. Oh, this was kind of interesting. And those of you who are my age will remember this. If not, you probably won't. The dashboards in cars used to crack like as the car got older. They don't do that anymore. Guess why? Because there's chemicals put in there that stop that from happening. So they harden the plastic, but they're also hormone disruptors. Those are actually estrogen inhibitors. You remember, you know that film that gets on your car window? You're like, where does that come from? That's from all the plastics in your car. So she says when you get a new car, this is what she suggests. Put an onion in there. She loves onions. And, let it sit for a day or so and then take the onion out. And that onion will help get rid of some of those initial fumes that are coming off the plastic in your car. I have written here in big letters, we need to be informed. She also says cholesterol. Hormones are made from cholesterol. Did you know that? Be a private investigator. She would always say, I'm going to put my private investigator hat on and I'm going to research it. I'm going to figure it out. Progesterone is the mother hormone. It takes care of all of the other hormones and it keeps them in place. So she calls that the happy hormone. And since she calls it the happy hormone and also the mother hormone, she's like, you got to keep the mother happy, right? This is interesting. Most of us know this, but just to hear her say it, drugs only change the form and the location of the disease. They don't do anything to get rid of disease. I have a note here. It says chicken and fish, lots of estrogen within those two. Also, we want to use hard plastics. They're free of hormone disruptors. The soft plastics like those water bottles, she said, don't let those in your car. The heat from the sun, the temperature in your car rises in the summer and all of those chemicals leach into your water. So if you're going to use plastic, use hard plastic. She had PBA free plastic. I have here again, plastic clothing. What is touching our skin? We just need to be mindful of that. Here she gave some brands that she really likes. This is Boody, Boody. It's bamboo underclothing. She loves them. I think they're actually made in Australia. Model fiber, Model. I think I'm spelling that correctly. It's made from birch trees. And she said it's really important, young girls who are not into puberty yet and just paying attention to the clothing they're wearing. Here's a statistic about miscarriages. She said since all of these hormone things, these plastic clothing have come about, she says the increase in miscarriages is 30 to 40%. She also says be careful where you put your phone, the electromagnetic field. She said a lot of women tuck their phone in their bra. She's like, don't do that. Keep your phones, keep your laptops away from your body, especially your torso, your reproductive organs. She said we really should concentrate on organic foods as the best we can. She talked about the mycotoxins in the peanuts, like I shared with you before. And she also says wheat. She talks about the estrogen being injected into food animals. The estrogen is cell proliferated. It's used to increase the animal's size. She says people have told her about chickens that could barely walk because their breasts were so large from all the estrogen that's been pumped into them. And then we eat that. She said soy is okay if it's organic and on a limited basis, but it's really hard to find organic in the United States. Here's just another little Barbara fact. She said women that have had their tubes tied many times end up getting a hysterectomy. Again, because of the hormones being disrupted in their body. Flipping the page here, again, plastic sitting in a hot car, just be aware of that. She's like, find wheat alternatives. The wheat that she recommends is the spelt wheat. I'll get you the name of it. It's like elkhorn wheat. It's the only wheat that hasn't been modified, and our body actually knows how to use it. So what are some things we can do to help fend off of all of these things that are bombarding us? She's like, try to eliminate them. You know, eliminate what you can from your environment. And vitamin B, 6, 9, and 12, you can get those from nuts and seeds. That will help also regulate your hormones. I have here licorice is good for high blood pressure, licorice root. She always goes back to her laws of health that sustain me. Every letter has a meaning, so it's sunshine and on. But she said, just go back to that sustain me principle. I'll drop it in the description of this video. And she's like, just be aware of that. Every time you encounter a new thing, go through those sustain me principles, those laws of health, as she calls them. And a lot of times we can eliminate issues if we follow those laws of health. We talked about caffeine before. Green tea does have tannins and caffeine. So she's like, limit your green tea. Everybody was switching to green tea, but a lot of times teas, just like coffee, can cause problems. So just be aware of that. She's like, we should just be drinking water with the Celtic salt. So caffeine contributes to dehydration. Remember that cup of coffee. I am totally off coffee now and I feel fantastic. 1 cup of coffee, you need 4 cups of water to rehydrate you. Crazy. Oh, she talked about this too. So we're talking about hormones, and you know, some women, as we age, things can happen to your body, sex drive, vaginal dryness, all of those things. She talked about yoni stones. She said, when you use the yoni stones, there's 3 different sizes. You insert them and you start with the smallest. And what it does, it actually helps train the muscles to become stronger and increase blood flow back to that area. She talked about women that had prolapsed uteruses, and they use these yoni stones with a lot of great success. Yoni stones can strengthen the pelvic girdle, prolapsed uteruses, muscle strength. She says, keep well hydrated and nourished. She also said if you have a problem with like bladder control, leaking urine, the yoni stones can really help. She says you start using them 1 hour a day, and I love this. She said it's God's surgery because it's gentle to the body. It helps the body, supports the body, but it's not invasive, like going in there and cutting. And you know, she talked about women with prolapsed uteruses getting that mesh net and all of that. She's like, the yoni stones are God's surgery. They're gentle. I love that. And I have an arrow here back up to the yoni stones. It says revive and restore when given time. All right, so tomorrow we'll talk about the yam cream. That's next on the agenda. I'm going to be setting up a Q&A for you guys. I think afternoon's going to be the best time. I'm going to do it in a Zoom format. So when I figure that all out, I'll drop that information below. All right, guys, chat later, and lots more to come.